Everybody, this is Scott from Lawrence Hypnotherapy, and today I'm joined by Chenae, who is a health coach and chef who basically specializes in not only just how to be healthy, but how to do it in enjoyable ways where you still get to keep, the flavor and the taste and the lifestyle without feeling that you're deprived or missing out in any particular way. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for opening up. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, when I first, saw say a program that we were running and listening to some of the health advice that you're talking about, I think what I usually hear from a lot of people is almost like it's your fault if you're unhealthy, or that you're just not dedicated enough or something like that. But what I kind of liked about yours is that you were giving practical tips on things that are useful for people, because I think that people want to be healthy, but they also want to enjoy life, or they also want to be happy without just being told eat less and move more. What got you into health and chefing and helping people in that way?
Thank you. So growing up, food was always part of the family, and my parents drew me into that. So, and I considered myself healthier than most. I ate a lot of salads, just naturally. That was my preference, and meats and salads and that kind of stuff. But I always felt like I was out of proportion, and I just had issues, even though I thought I was healthy. And this just made me question why. And as a chef, I just discovered, and traveling and talking to people, and I found a little tips here and there that actually explained why food plays such a big role. And now it's become my new business, and being a health coach, where I would like to translate that information over to people. It's not your fault per se. It's just you need to understand your body's language to say oh, I don't like this, maybe a little bit less, or whatever the case may be. It's not a case of, oh, I have to completely cut this out of my diet, even though I love having it. I don't believe in that, because that just makes me want to have it even more. So I believe it's the same for a lot of others.
So being deprived of what you love the most seems to not work for people, but you're saying that fine tune it instead of just cutting it out altogether.
Yeah, for sure. I like to work on the 80-20 rule, and then it's more about the ingredients you use to enjoy that. So if I'll make myself chocolate chip cookies, but the ingredients I use would be good enough for my body to actually work through it and actually take what it needs and get rid of what it doesn't need. It doesn't get stuck in and cause all kind of inflammation and all that kind of problems, which is the upside. Yeah, so that's the goal.
What's the quickest, probably most practical advice that you could give to people now, just about what should they eat if they want to be healthier? They want maybe less pain, less allergies, and more health, but they still want to be able to enjoy the food. What can people eat?
Yeah. All right. I live by 3 rules. All right. Rule number 1, cut out your refined sugars, swap it with honey, agave, maple syrup. I don't personally like sweeteners, but you could use certain sweeteners are all right. So that would be the first one. The second one is swap your damaged oils. So your highly processed oils, so your vegetable oils, your sunflower oils, just all the oils that are super, super processed, the cheap ones. Those are incredibly bad for you. Those cause the most damage in your body. So replace that with extra virgin olive oil locally if possible, olive oil, avocado oil, nut oils, that kind of stuff. And thirdly is make sure you eat at least 3 hours before going to bed, so that you can actually have a good night rest, because that is the fundamental place to also lose weight, is while you're sleeping. If you deprive yourself from a good night quality sleep, it drops your ability to lose weight by more than 40%. So I would live by those 3 for sure.
Okay. That's great. Like with the first one, let's say refined sugars, I guess if people, let's say it's not just about table sugar or the white sugar, the sucrose that people have that they add to coffees and things. But you know, like hidden in products, like
Yeah.
are there some places that people should maybe like look out for where the refined sugars are there already that they didn't add themselves? Like they don't have just necessarily the teaspoon themselves kind of putting it in, but it's kind of
Oh,
it's there and they don't know that
everywhere.
it's there. Like
Unfortunately, it's everywhere. Yeah. You really, really, really have to read labels. I would say if there's a label with more than 5 to 7 ingredients, the chances are that you're going to have some kind of type of sugar that they've added in there. They might have labeled it differently, but ultimately it's the same effect that it has. So I would definitely stick with the simpler products if you're going to buy like bottled sauces or any bottled or kind of packaged ingredients, and stick to whole foods as much as possible. That's the only way you're going to really eliminate those hidden sugars that are the really bad ones.
So less packet stuff, more fresh stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, frozen
and when
meals,
you said like,
or because frozen meals as well, because they have all those bad oils in there too, you know. So, and you wouldn't think about it, but
because there's different types of frozen meals, like where there's like the portion control ones, which is like, you know, chicken and vegetables or something, and then there's other frozen meals which seems to be like lasagnas and spaghettis and stuff like that. Like would you say that some frozen meals okay, or like not so much? Or
if it's more vegetable based, I would say it's better. Yes. I wouldn't go vegan, I wouldn't go tofu, I wouldn't go any of the soy, any of that direction. I would stay completely away from that. But purely like vegetable, vegetarian meals, I would say is probably your safest.
okay. What about like say frozen meats?
I'm not a big fan. If it's whole pieces, like you can see they've cut, yes. But if it's as soon as it becomes somewhat processed, I stay away from that for sure.
Like minced or sausage rolls, party pies, all of that heavily processed sauce and salt added.
Oh yeah. That's where the sodium and all that goes through the roof, and you know, so many other healthier nutrition and foods get blamed for the spikes, but it's actually because of that initially.
Yeah. Like one of my friends like said that there was these 3 R's that she lives by, and she said raw, recognize, or roam, as in like if it's raw, you know, then we know that like all the enzymes haven't been like cooked out of it or baked out of it or destroyed. The recognize is like, do you even know what it is? It's like that there was these things called smileys, and so people were looking at it going, is that potato? Is that fish? Is that glue? I just don't even recognize what it is. And then the roam was like, if it actually kind of walked around, well, then you can then, and it's kind of like, you know, fresh than cooked. It's potentially maybe healthier than stuff that is just emulsifiers and pastas and that kind of stuff. I was curious, like when you said oils, like the damaged oils, what's a damaged oil?
They've just been heated and processed, basically heated, separated, or whatever you, to the point where they damage the actual molecules. So when you consume them, your body doesn't really know what they are. So a lot of them, you know, could slip through like your blood-brain barrier and certain parts of your body where they shouldn't be. And that's where your cancerous cells start, because your body doesn't know what it is. Ultimately,
because fats are an interesting thing, like when we get into kind of like what they are, like basically just like a whole string, just like there's a whole string of basically like carbon atoms held together like with hydrogen atoms, and that's like a fatty acid string. And then if it's a molecule, like generally that you've got 3 of those lines, like 3 of those fatty acid strings held together with like an alcohol head, and that's like then called a triglyceride, or like that's the kind of, it looks kind of like a stand of some kinds. But what was interesting, like when I was kind of like trying to find out like what is a trans fat, and why does it not break down? Why is it basically like a preservative? And it preserves because nature doesn't want it. And there's something that seemed to be important, like with fats, is like the chemical bonds. when we've got like that whole string of carbon atoms, and then we've got like the hydrogen atoms that are around the outside. Sometimes those like hydrogen atoms are chemical bonded together, and sometimes they're not. And I was like always wondering, like, well, what is something that's small enough to sort of like sticky tape together two hydrogen atoms? So it needs to be something smaller than an atom that connects them.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty simple. It's just that they're electron sharing. So like with an atom, how it has like the nucleus and it has the electron around it.
Yeah.
The two hydrogen atoms like have their own nucleuses, but they're sharing electrons. And so that's what a chemical bond is. And so then with a trans fat, like when you got that whole line of like, carbon atoms, and you got the hydrogen atoms above and below and above and below, the carbon atom kind of, the hydrogen atom at the top and the bottom with a trans fat, that they electron share across the line, instead of like straight, like where they should be chemical bonded at the top or at the bottom, it actually crosses through the line. And that's meant to be what a trans fat is. And it confuses the body so much. And then the body's looking at the fat going like, well, I don't know what this is, so let's just lock it away somewhere. And so it doesn't make its way out. Like it doesn't burn, like as in that, like when in the cells, like we've got like the mitochondria, which like sets fire to fat or sugar. The trans fats don't go through that process. They don't burn. They just kind of like, it's like eating plastic.
Exactly. They just float around in your body, and it becomes, that's where it becomes like infected. And that's the problem.
You can lubricate the frying pan, and it can make your bag of Doritos never go stale, but it can't get processed by the body the same way that Lego doesn't go stale, but you're not supposed to eat it.
Yeah.
But that's where like food's supposed to rot.
Or else it's, that's why why we invented cured products and pickled products and all of these kind of things. Like that's why they all exist. It's because things expired. Milk expired within 3 days, 4 days. That kind of stuff. Like that is what the body needs. It needs things that it can take its nutrients and then flush it out the body and get rid of it. Because otherwise, like exactly that, it's just going to get stuck in you, and that's
exactly
it. Yeah.
And like the milk that we have today is not like natural. Like when people say that milk tastes really good, it's like, yeah, of course it does, it's got sugar in it. And they're like, no, I don't add sugar to my milk. It's like, you don't have to, it's already there. Lactose is
there,
the sugar in milk. But also, it's been kind of like, it's been pasteurized in so many different things that if you just drink milk from the cow, it tastes awful.
And this big like fat-free nonsense that's been going for so many years. It's so like, there's so many studies and peer-reviewed studies and all of these that comes out and says like fat-free, low fat is really bad for you. They have absolutely no value. You need the full fat. That's where the nutrition is.
Yeah, I remember somebody said to me that if you want like light milk, pour half a glass of milk and then add water to the top half. That's light milk. Because the stuff that you're getting is not light milk. Because like if you add water to it, it gets really thin and cloudy. Like it's just like cloudy water. Because it's kind of interesting as well that it's not just fat free, because like what they don't tell you is that when you take the fat out of milk, it gets thin and tasteless, because fat is flavor and it's like the thickness. Whereas like when you take it out, it just becomes like a sort of like half see-through white water. So they have to then add other chemicals to it to like thicken it up, and then other sugars and things to kind of make it taste better. So it's just back to the refined sugars again. And also like the fact that like that we need some fat in our diet, because like there's like vitamins like B and C, I think they're the only ones that are water soluble, but vitamins A, D, E, and K, they're fat soluble. So like that we need fat in our system to be able to absorb those vitamins. But yeah, fat's definitely been given a bad name.
And then
so with the 3 hours before bed, why is that a good idea?
For your body, because when you sleep, that's when the body goes through, a lot of processes, from your mind storing the day's events, to your muscles restoring and rebuilding and all of that, to your body flushing the system and all of those kind of things. So if you eat too closely to your bedtime, that energy that's needed for all the processes during your sleep gets limited for processing your food, especially when you sleep. So you lose a lot of the quality sleep. That's why I say, like, I really want to focus on the quality sleep of people, because even myself, a lot of the times I wake up in the morning and I'm just exhausted. I don't feel like I've rested. And then I know I can actually count like a couple of things. I'm like, oh, okay, I know why. And that is definitely one of the.
One way I like to look at it is blood moves. Like, it's not as though like the blood stays, like, even though like it's like rotating. There's concentrations of blood which the body makes decisions as to, do we need more blood over here now or not, or perhaps we need it over there instead. And let's say, like, if somebody eats a steak, blood moves to the stomach to power the stomach. And then when their intestines get the meat, blood moves to the intestines to power the intestines. So like that, literally, like, the body is alive and things are moving. And so then also like the body doesn't like to open up and close down at the same time, or it doesn't like to kind of wake up and go to sleep at the same time. It's like it has to pick one. And it's like that you can sort of fight an external predator or an internal predator. Like you can sort of, it's like fight or flight, run away from the bear, or you can kind of have the immune system and the heal. And so I think that when it comes to, or it seems to make sense that when it comes to digesting food, if the blood's supposed to basically move to the brain to do something that happens when you're asleep, where they've basically found, like, with, you know, the EEGs, like the electroencephalographs, where they can basically like measure where electricity in the brain is at different times. They've found that there's more electrical activity going on while we're asleep than when we're awake.
Yeah, and that is exactly it. Yeah,
and you need blood for that. So blood needs to move to the brain, kind of away from the stomach. And so like the body's making a decision. And so then like with that deep rest, that deep sleep, the body kind of like, if the blood's moving to the stomach to process the steaks and the sugars, it's not in the brain. Like, I mean, there's still blood in the brain, but not the quantities that it needs to do the job that it needs. And there's of course like more to it than that, but it's really interesting that like, if you could treat the body with the same respect as like that we give like a car or a house plant. I've never poured cordial onto a house plant or into my petrol tank.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
We should then say that our bodies are more important than our cars, or our bodies are more, well, hopefully, you know, we would treat them with a little bit more respect, or at least the same respects that we give a house plant. So putting health first and having some rules where we kind of look at how the body operates, even just at a basic level, and say, can we help it out? Can we give it a lifestyle, like where it sort of feels like it's more in flow, in a rhythm, instead of like being sort of jolted around so much? But I like those 3 rules. So the refined sugars, the fats and the broken fats or the wrong fats, and then 3 hours before bed. So if somebody comes and works with you, like, what's the main problem they usually have when they come to see you? Like, what's driven them to see you?
Yeah, I would say that just no time between, you know, work and kids, and to actually make healthy meals and exercise, and those two, and obviously that affects your sleep as well. So I would say time, to make time in the day to actually be healthier is the bigger obstacle, where I approach it to take the lifestyle and simplify it. So I want to create more time actually with the way that I teach, because I also take it from a holistic point of view, obviously, as we've discussed. But for me, it's more about creating a time, so creating, just prepping in advance as well, like especially from the food side. You know, I've got a lady that says that she doesn't have time, so we're prepping in advance and helping her feed her family, where she can just grab a container out of the freezer, heat it up, put some protein in it, and you've got a delicious, nutritious meal for the family. So I would say that's the biggest problem my clients face, for sure.
So if you've got a busy lifestyle, but you still want to be healthy, and you just sort of go
Mm,
like, well, I don't have time to be healthy. There are
mm,
ways you can be healthy. Like it's not going to take the amount of time, perhaps that sometimes
yeah,
people might be afraid. But what they do need sometimes is
yeah,
like a bit of guidance or a bit of like support, um,
yeah,
which is the way you come in. So
yeah. Just
if
tricks and
people,
tips and techniques to shorten it. Like I would make myself a healthy dinner in 15 minutes, you know. Um, and
mm,
anyone can too. It's literally just cutting a bunch of things up, putting in a bowl, squeezing lime juice, salt and pepper over it, and there's your meal, you know, and it's super super delicious. So it's basically just simplifying um, their lives. Yeah, yeah,
perfect. Simplifying the life sounds good. If
yeah.
people
Yeah.
would like to work with you, like there's going to be a link underneath this video. Um, but what can people do? So when they come to work with you, what's the offer or what can they expect?
So I am actually running a super exciting offer for June for a 6-week course that I'm um, presenting, and it's going to be 6 weeks to boost your metabolism through focusing, obviously, as we've discussed, your sleep, and then cooking like your meals, just making sure that you're covered in that area as well. But I wanted to come with a special offer for you guys, just if you guys would love to hear more about this as well. I'll drop my email down below too. So
Yeah.
I put together an offer for you guys, the 6-week course. Also, I would include my Cooking 101 course that I'm building, which is amazing, and just make sure that you're covered with your basics, like what you need, the techniques, flavors, ingredients, that kind of things. I'm also going to include one workout a week with me, so 6 workouts in total, and I'm going to do low intensity, literally just to get you moving. And also I have a supplement package from Isotonics that I'm offering for you guys as well
Perfect.
as a package.
So
Yes.
so there's a lot of different things in there that normally, like, I guess people would buy separately. So like if you were to
Mm-hmm.
add it all up without the discounts,
Mm.
what would you normally sell all of that together for?
So this would normally sell for about $3,800.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it's a quite substantial package, which is exciting.
Okay. And then people
Yeah.
can get in for like say a lot cheaper or at least a bit cheaper at least than the
Oh
3,800.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For you guys, because this is my pre-launch. I'm launching in May. I thought I'd make
Yeah.
a special offer for you guys, and I'm only gonna open it up for you guys for 1295.
1295.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Because there's like
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of programs in there. Because like as
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
saying, because like it's a total plan like that involves that we were saying that like the refined sugars that people are having,
Mm,
sometimes it can be hard to say, like when you say to someone just don't have refined sugars,
mm,
there's a little bit more guidance that's required, or a little bit more time that just needs to be spent on it, as to like, well,
mm,
I know that refined sugars are terrible, but
mm,
how do I quickly get rid of them out of my diet? Like, how do I kind of still live and have all the energy where I'm not
mm,
constantly focusing on food? And getting guidance
mm,
with that is a brilliant thing, so that you can
mm,
give them the plan to say, well, actually, if you are struggling with that, like, well, take my guide. It's something
mm,
that I've put together, and you can use it straight away.
mm.
Or
Yeah.
like sleep. We know that like sleep is very important, because like out of all the different let's say like drugs that people can have, whether it's like
Mm,
sort of alcohol or heroin or ice and all those nasty things people can have, they've actually found that lack of sleep harms a person's cognitive ability, not more than all of the drugs together, but more than any one of those drugs.
mm. Yeah.
So if a person's not sleeping properly, it's kind
Yeah.
of like having the brain altered worse than
Mm,
what a drug would.
yeah. Yeah.
um,
No, that is more true than we hope. We would hope it would be, but it is. Sleep is so detrimental if if you don't get the quality sleep you really need. Your body just uh, you can eat as healthy as you want to eat. Your body is just not going to be able to actually get the nutrition from the healthy food that you eat if you don't adjust your lifestyle with that. And that goes with the supplements as well. You can take all the supplements in the world, but if you do not actually accompany that with a healthy diet, your body is not going to utilize the nutrition in any way that's going to make a difference, really.
Exactly.
So you're just gonna throw money down the toilet, basically. Unfortunately, but yeah.
It's like if somebody just has multivitamins and that's like all they do. That if somebody could have like 10 times the dosage they should, it just kind of like puts pressure on the kidneys, and then they just get rid of it basically. Because they're not doing the things that help them to absorb it. I love to see it like it's almost like a building a card pyramid, but one card at a time. So like if you go like, well, I'm just going to change one part of my life, and it falls over because it's not been sustained or held up by the other card. But you put the two cards together, and they hold each other up, and you're like, oh, okay, I can actually leave this alone now a little bit. I don't need to constantly be focused on my health to get my health to be better. I just need to make sure that the several things that sort of work together. Like whereas I guess like in the West. Like even Einstein was always looking for the one rule, the one theory of everything. And it kind of like the world doesn't work that way. Our bodies don't work that way. There's like several parts to health, and they work together to really be that needle mover that lifts their health up.
Yeah. And that's so true. And the thing is as well, like you have to ensure that your gut stays, because as we all know, like everything revolves around the gut. So you have to make sure that the gut stays in a way where the bacteria and all of that can actually survive. And, it takes a while. It takes at least 3 weeks for your gut bacteria to start adjusting. And if you feed it new healthy food, that will start increasing the healthy bacteria in your gut as well. But all of that takes time and it takes dedication. And just sticking with the supplements, using the supplements to help shift your body metabolically to start absorbing more quality nutrition through your food. That is why I wanted to include the supplements in here. But that needs to come with adjusting your lifestyle to sleep, really, really well at night, and to eat, when your body actually needs to eat. Like my whole eating schedule has changed as well. It depends on how active I am. If I'm really active, I eat more. If I'm not active, I eat 1 to 2 meals a day. So that's all the shifts that takes place, but that's all accompanying to my lifestyle. It changes. My diet changes as well. It's never going to stay one. So that's why I wanted to take the 6 weeks. It's just to really help understand your body and what it goes through and how it changes, and just to adjust as it goes. It will tell you what it needs. You just need to adjust.
Absolutely. Because it's interesting how people are eating when they don't need to, just because it's what you used to do in the 80s.
I'm hungry at 9 p.m. It's like, no, your body is like starting the energy processes to go to sleep so that it can do what it needs to do. So that's why you kind of like feel a little bit snackish at 9 to 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, hit the button below and join up with Chenae and her 6-week health program, because this is something that, especially whether like you've got kids or whether you've got like a professional job and you just need your energy to be on track, this is it's probably the time to do it, especially after the last like year and a bit that we've had. It's time to put health first.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when our immunity is 70% is around our gut, so what we eat directly affects the strength of our immunity, which is good news. It's good news.
Exactly. Excellent. Yeah. All right, well, let's end it there. Guys, hit the button and we'll see you on the inside.
Yes, thank you.
No worries.